Sam Darnold gushing about his parents' influence, what it means to him. No waterworks out of Sam Darnold as far as I saw, but so much history made, so much fun. And we'll get into it. They are the champions. How about the Patriots side of things? We have a Super Bowl champ joining us to break down both sides, to celebrate a little, to talk about what it means. $70+ million to spend, I believe, for Seattle going into next season. So lots of love and stuff to go over with Jason McCourty, who has been there and done that in the aftermath of Super Bowl 60. I've been calling Mike McDonald a maniac, man who sleeps at his facility. Oh, my light just went out. Sorry for these things. Can't count on these things, you know? Oh no, I'm like sitting in the dark. What are we gonna do here in San Francisco? I'm going home today. We'll be back in studio in LA tomorrow. What a freaking game. Hamilton, you were at home taking it all in. The broadcast, of course, but I saw what you saw, my friend. How are you? Matt, is Matt on?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm great. I'm a little, you can make fun of my little polar bear
Are you-
outfit. It's fine. I see you're
As
not
a
selling.
polar bear, a chicken, I'm not sure exactly what's going on. Is it cold in there?
We have a Seahawk.
There you go.
I was in rare form yesterday. The last thing I think I put a fortune cookie in Shabuzi's coat pocket and said, I need you to open this. I was very concerned with everyone having a fortune cookie. Fortune cookies, of course, the lore of San Francisco. Part of that, I was very concerned with everyone I saw having a fortune cookie and reading their fortune and believing it. And the one that I got before the game was a great story is about to unfold. And that's what we saw. It might as well have said, Mike McDonald, you dog you with this master plan of what he was able to do. I wish it had said that because that's what it was, and that's what it's been all season. So here's some of my notes. Here's some of the things that I think we do have Jason McCourty joining the show, and Hamilton, of course, we'll be breaking this down all week. We're here all week. We're on the show all week. There's so many moments y'all missed from Super Bowl, from the insane guests we have. We're going to comb through them and put them on and put them out and put you on to what that was. But this was like masterful, I think, is the word that I would use to describe it. Even as I sat there, it was a masterful game planning, it was masterful patience, it was masterful temperament, masterful roster to begin with.
Awesome.
It might not have been, sorry, Ham, you have your mic up still. What it might not have been like the most fun Super Bowl ever. Incredible, masterful performance. And here's my takeaways, okay? Talked to Hamilton about this morning. We didn't tag. Hamilton and I, for maybe the first game in 12 years, did not text once during the game. We just sat, we enjoyed it, we caught up on it at 5 a.m., like two friends do. The win was so masterfully dominant, okay? Let's use that. And it cements this 2025 Seahawks as what I said was on the table for them, one of the greatest teams in the history of the National Football League. And I'm not blowing them up. I'm not going overboard, guys. I'm not overwhelming them or like being hyperbolic. We've talked about this on the show the past couple of weeks. From a historical perspective, numbers do matter. They finished it off on the biggest stage. All three phases of the game, offense came up big on every play. You know, even with the Pats pretty much, the Pats did a good job of handling JSN and taking a lot of the game. The defense, the chirping in the suites, I was bopping around, was just, this defense is so good. This Seahawks defense is so good. What are they going to do? Smothering. Scoring touchdowns on their own. The special teams, brilliant. Jason Myers drilling 5 field goals. Maybe not the sexiness that you want to see in a Super Bowl. Certainly, I like a high-scoring game. Michael Dixon downing a couple punts inside the 10. It was like that football-y stuff that those football junkies love. It was a beatdown on every level. And I showed you this before the NFC Championship game. And as a Seahawk this morning, I'll show it to you again. The 29-13 win locks this in. We talked about, I thought it would be a closer scoring game. Maybe I was just like wanting it to be, right? But the Seahawks now, the 6th team in the Super Bowl era to average over 29 points per game while allowing fewer than 17 a game in a single season. The other 5 are the greatest show on frickin' turf, the Favre Reggie White Packers, the Montana era Niners own building. That must have sucked to watch the confetti fall yesterday. I get it. 1991 Washington team, as you're seeing with Gibbs and Darrell Green and co. And these are the most legendary teams to ever do it. And now that is where we leave the 2025 Seahawks. They belong in that. That is their lore. My next takeaway from the Seahawks win. and everybody kind of had this right. Kenneth Walker, just loved seeing every second of it. Truly one of the greatest. I mean, if you're talking like grand scheme and landscape of playoff runs, I put Kenneth in that family, wouldn't you guys? He is about to get broken off. Like, and I'm just gonna cheers with my, by the way, San Francisco has these special Starbucks cups. I love them. They cheers to him. He's about to get paid. He's about to get paid, okay? He is set to hit free agency at the perfect age of 25. And if you take a look at this, K9's 135 rushing yards, the most in a Super Bowl since TD almost 30 years ago. He had 161 yards, top 10 all time, tied with Super Bowl legends Matt Snell and Lynn Swann. And that's the most we've seen in a game since Isaac Bruce in 1999. Bruce, okay? 94 rushing yards in the first half. That was the most since Timmy Smith nearly 40 years ago. I don't know much about Timmy Smith, but he beat him. Kenneth Walker is now one of these legends, okay? One of these legends. If you look at the numbers, the performance, and I think Hamilton, it's a nice little check written from our overlords to people, because a lot of people saw that coming, took the over, and we're reaping the rewards. Cheers to anybody who hit the overs on Kenneth Walker yesterday, right?
Yeah, we learned last week that that was the most bet prop, his combined rushing and receiving yards, and he absolutely crushed that. So won a lot of people money.
Can you tell I hung out in the overlord suite for a hot sec? I did. Yeah, so welcome to Super Bowl status, FanDuel Sportsbook check writing status, to everybody cashing in on that, and then him cashing in on what will be a big. I mean, Hamilton, is he going to leave? He's not going to leave, right?
I I don't think John Schneider can let him out of that building after that. We saw how important he is, and at 25 too, got a lot of good years left in him. They got to break him off,
Do you
and they have the
think?
money to do it. They have like 73 mil in cap space heading into this off season, so they can
I
make it
didn't.
happen.
I didn't see Mr. Schneider. What was his vibe yesterday? What was that? I didn't see any of the
I
antics. What
mean,
happened?
just what you would expect from him, soaking it all in. You know, I mean, this was legendary status for him too, if you think about it. I think he's the
The
third GM
lobster?
ever to win multiple Super Bowls with two different quarterbacks. So pretty damn impressive.
Pretty darn impressive. Okay, yeah, John Schneider, you got to break him off. I don't know what that means for Charbonnet or whatever, but we can't let him even like. I don't want to have one little rumor about him like getting close to hitting the market or any of that. That's your boy. Okay, a takeaway. Shall we discuss the Patriots? Sure. They were outclassed in like all of the ways you could possibly be outclassed. Outclassed is like a kind of a that's a tough word, but it's true. We cannot sit here and talk about how the 2025 Seahawks are one of the greatest teams in NFL history without. I want to give them that lore, but it's not that they deserved to be there. I think like every team in the AFC would have looked like that yesterday. That's just the vibe that I think me and a lot of fans do have if you're actually looking in the mirror and being honest with yourselves. This this they're not frauds. I'm hearing a lot of that. I'm getting a lot of like, hey, you said they were good. They are a great team. Okay, they were a great team, and this isn't an excuse the Patriots' performance by any means. They could not protect Drake, and the few times they were able, what did he get sacked? Like six. Hamilton, what did he get sacked? Like six times?
Six times.
And yeah, oof. He, it was he did not have it, and they couldn't protect him. He just didn't. Even just like the nonverbals, the vibe, even from where I was sitting way up, like he didn't have it, but they were not close to good enough to protecting him. But I don't think that this takes away from what their season was, which was an unmitigated like masterclass in success. If you were a New England fan, because you were rebuilding, and here you were, year one of Vrabel, year two of Drake, by every measure. Like, this is a story. How can you not root for this kind of a story? If it wasn't associated with the Patriots, you'd be eating it up out there. It's about as dramatic of a turnaround in NFL history from one season to the next that you can imagine. It's what teams like Chicago dream about with a new quarterback and new leadership. It's like what we saw with the Bengals on their run to a Super Bowl and a loss. Now, granted, the Bengals have not been back. So it's an interesting case study to be looking at, and these like very specific moves that Patriots must make to ensure that they're seen as contenders going into next season. Things did not break their way. Things broke their way during the season. I understand the schedule conversation. I understand the things that they took advantage of with the rest of the AFC looking as it did. But Elliott Wolf and Vrabel, now know what they need to address this offseason. I'm like a little weebly wobbly on them. They've got like $42 million to spend. I have to see what they do. They got to beef up the O line. I know that. I think they know that. They maybe need to shuffle some things around. Little Will Campbell situation looked weird yesterday and throughout the season, really. They got to add a real, they got to add somebody for Drake. They got to make a couple of changes, a couple ads there. And they have the money, they have a capital. And I believe that Wolf with 1L can do it. You've got 2 more years with Drake on this deal. That's why you really, if you're someone who's, I'm just curious to see what Jason says about this. The pressure's on for you to make very specific moves in this very little window to sort of see if you can get back there again and cash in on that. I don't know if do we have Jason yet? Okay, we have him. We'll go to break. I'll talk to Hammy through the break. Got the great Jason McCourty. We'll give a little Scott love. Underneath London, I just watched that little bit. And then, I don't see. What can I see? Do we have? Of course, he probably doesn't have it built out because we didn't ask him to, of course. But what we talked a little bit about like the AFC Super Bowl early Super Bowl odds are out.
Yes, they are.
Oh my gosh, Corchin,
Oh,
you're
look at that.
pro. What the F is he's unbelievable. Okay, so here we
He
go.
is the best in the business.
These are the okay, so we've got Baltimore Ravens and Buffalo Bills tied up as your top of the AFC. And then the Chargers, that's a little wild to me. Where are the Chiefs on this list?
Yeah.
Nowhere.
So the Chiefs are plus 1,600, so they are
They're plus 750 to win the AFC.
oh, this is to win the AFC, yeah. So they're tied with the Patriots for the 4th shortest odds to win the AFC next year. And the Broncos are behind them.
I would flip the Chiefs and Patriots. Like you have more faith in the Patriots next year to make it to win the AFC than the Chiefs or the Broncos. I don't know if I do.
Yeah, I don't know. As you said, I need to see them make some big moves this offseason. I think the foundation's been laid, but there's some things that need to happen to put that team in that level to me next year.
A lot of things.
As you said, like
I don't know, man.
A lot of things went right, but I believe in the foundation they've built there. But again, if you're going to compete consistently at the top of that conference, they still need to upgrade the personnel, I think, especially on the offensive line and especially in that receiving core.
I just walked into that Burrow sort of thing. Does that feel kind of? We want to be like the Patriots are kind of. If it wasn't the Patriots, if it was like that. If it was a blind resume, you'd be like, fuck yeah! If I'm a team that like can have that dramatic of a turnaround. And like
absolutely
back in coach window, but like it didn't happen with Joe. And now, they when you have a paycheck written, look at their defense, right? Look at their very. It's kind of giving that you got there, and your quarterback is Joe Burrow's a better quarterback than Drake May by a lot, and they haven't sniffed back. Injuries
and that's where, the injuries, but that's also where you look at like the impetus on this front office to make the right moves, because I think when you look at why it didn't happen for the Bengals, they couldn't figure out the offensive line fast enough, which also played into the injuries.
Yeah.
And don't think you escaped the boom talk. We'll get there next break.
My dad literally goes, "Are you still in San Francisco? Why?" Don't what? Why?
And that will do it. Seattle reigns above them all in the NFL. The Seahawks, Super Bowl champions for the 2nd time.
You saw the highlight. They're joined now by 13-year NFL vet, Super Bowl champion analyst for CBS and ESPN. Jason McCourty is here. We're chit-chatting about what it means for the Patriots, but I mean, we gotta just talk about the Seahawks and give them so much love this morning for being historic, for being amazing. You're a defensive guy, have a high-scoring game, but where does the Seahawks defense performance rank all time as we sit here this morning?
Oh, unbelievable. I was in the Super Bowl a few years ago and we gave up 3 points to the Rams game. And as some of my former teammates were watching the game, we're like, we hope New England at least scores a touchdown. So our 3 point game at least can be mentioned when you talk about some of the best defensive performances in Super Bowl history. I mean, they were as dominant as it comes. The score was 29-7 at one point. So to look at a game like that, it was 9-0 throughout. And the whole time you're like, well, this game is a wrap because New England could do absolutely nothing on the offensive side of the ball. A ton of credit to Mike Macdonald. I remember meeting with him 2 years ago, his first year as the head coach, and he talked about just getting used to being in front of the guys as the head coach. He was so accustomed to locking himself in a room and coming up with a game plan to defeat the offense. And through all of it, now as a head coach, as a Super Bowl winning head coach, at his core, what he does best is devising a plan that is going to make it hell on your offense. And that was the case last night. Josh McDaniels, the offensive coordinator of the Patriots, they had absolutely no answers from the beginning of the game all the way to the end. The only production they had was really in garbage time. That wasn't just a dominant performance, what they were able to do schematically to beat New England play after play.
When I was watching, and I was I have to watch it again to be honest. Like obviously, like it's very hard to look at what's going on. You're sort of feeling the vibes. I was at the Super Bowl. I was running around, but like they could do nothing to adjust up front. Drake May had when I no idea where the pressure was
Yeah.
coming from. He had sacked 6 times, picked off once. Of course, you're talking about the pressure was crazy. What was it about the defensive game plan though for the Seahawks in your eyes that made it so effective and so boring, which makes it a great game for you?
It was so fun. I watched it back this morning, and just to see some of the things they did early on in the first drive of the game, they got to a third down situation, and Seattle brought would look like everybody. And then Byron Murphy, their defensive tackle, and Leonard Williams, the other defensive tackle, they were the two to drop out, and they brought Eman Worry and Witherspoon off of the edge. This was early on in the game where now you're dropping 2 defensive linemen and bringing secondary pressure on the edge. And now you get the offense thinking. Now later on in the game, you're getting just the 4 guys rush up front and they're getting home. Then Mike Macdonald starts to time up blitzes with bringing Devin Witherspoon off of the edge late where he's timing it up as the ball is being snapped and the protection is not able to get over there and pick up the pressure. One like just being shown right now, he comes free to the quarterback on his rushes. Those were the special plays that just from a scheme standpoint, they have you beat. And then the moments where Drake May did have enough time, there was nobody open in the secondary. I'm watching with some family at the house and they're mad as hell. Like, why isn't he throwing the ball? I'm like, look, the guy is one-on-one. Kayshon Boutte is one-on-one with Josh Jobe, and Josh Jobe has him bench pressed to the sideline and he's deflecting the ball. So when you have your guys are just better than the other guys and your scheme is better than theirs, that's why the game was as lopsided as it was.
Yeah, but then it's like I feel like a team. I don't know. You're just defeated. There's nothing the Patriots could do. Like there's nothing they could do.
That was the part that I was disappointed. I expected a little bit more from them from a standpoint of they went 6 offensive linemen one time in a game. It was a 20-yard gain. I expected to see some screens. What I would say I was most disappointed as being around Josh McDaniels, it seemed like every game he always had a trick play up his sleeve that was going to work. Whether it was a flea flicker against the Broncos, they threw one back to Drake May against the Chargers that just missed off a poor throw by Efton Chisholm. So I was expecting and waiting for them to empty the bag with everything that they had gone over all season long. After probably that first quarter, beginning of the second quarter, you could see that it was going to be really hard for them to get any production going. And they never got aggressive. There wasn't any no huddle early on in the game to
I
try to
know
speed up the
why.
tempo.
Why were they
From a
scared
standpoint
of
of
the shoulder thing?
no, the shoulder for me was nothing. Like you get shot up, the medicine, like you play through it, you don't think about that. I think maybe from a game plan standpoint, above McDaniels, Vrabel might have looked at this as they were only giving up field goals. Let's not go crazy. Let's keep this game close. And maybe they were banking on Sam Darnold to make a crucial mistake and then to take advantage of it
Yeah.
and try to win the game that way. So keep it close and wait for them to make a mistake, opposed to us getting too aggressive and making a mistake on our end. But to me, you don't win a Super Bowl that way. You got to go out there, you got to attack, and you got to be aggressive.
It was giving Super Bowl 53 Rams, where Sean, all season, aggressive, creative, intense, went up to Belichick. We have the footage, and he's like, "Nice to meet you." And then I was like, "Oh, this is over." Like, and he got. I mean, where was that aggressiveness that got him there, that staple. The tempo was missing. And I'm not saying that like Vrabel, but like got scared, but like something, it was giving that, like, where's the thing that got you here?
Yeah, and I think sometimes for these offensive coaches, you have a plan. You're setting things up, and you see the game unfolding one way. And all right, I'm going to run these course of plays to later be able to attack them with these plays. But when that first set of plays are getting absolutely dominated, you're looking at that call sheet and you're running down. You're like, I don't know what the heck to call. You talked about Super Bowl 53. I think for McVay, he was going in and he expected us to do one thing, and we did a different thing. He was expecting us to go man to man as we had done the last half of the season and the first two playoff games, and we didn't do that. We switched it up. So I think it was something completely different that threw him off, that he wasn't able to adjust. What was disappointing about last night was Seattle just did what they had done all season long. A lot of the two high safeties. Now, they dropped down a little bit more than they typically had done in the playoffs, but still, it was the Seattle defense that we had seen and loved. So I expected to see a little bit more from McDaniels in this offense to try to help and get things going when early on they couldn't find a groove of any form or fashion. But I'll say, when you're getting beat up front, it's very hard to call a game. It's hard to come up with things to do. And then Drake May was also off. On the times that they did have guys open, he missed on a lot of those throws. And I think that's what happens when your quarterback gets hit early. It speeds everything up for him, and he's kind of playing rush. And that's what it looked like last night for the Patriots on the offensive side of the ball.
He looked like everything was it was like it felt like, this is like ages me. Like, I Love Lucy. I'm picturing her like she's working at a factory and it's assembly line and it's like a bit and everything's coming too fast. Everything's speeded up and she can't keep going. I felt like that was Drake May last night. Like everything was in 3x speed. And
I love
that
all the I love all the kids right now going on Googling I Love Lucy. Like what the hell is Kay Adams talking about? I've never heard of this show.
all the cool kids are watching I Love Lucy, Gen Z, like sure. But everything was too quick. So that there was that. We know that, I mean, to go back to the Seahawks, like amazing Kenneth Walker performance. He'll get paid. What a story. What a player.
Yeah.
I'd like to know your defensive MVP because, like, I didn't watch the broadcast. So this morning I was watching and I saw London and I saw all the beautiful moments. And Kyle Shanahan, I didn't even know was on the broadcast. I was looking at all this. I searched, so I'm searching like who I want to, I want to see what Sam Darnold said or didn't say because he's a robot. But then I went and I saw. I wanted to look up Witherspoon because I just wanted to see what that was like after that kind of a performance that season so early in his career. He'd probably be my defensive MVP, but who's Jason McCourty's?
That's who I would go with, Devin Witherspoon. There's so many guys on that side of the ball that you can choose that they just set the tone early on and made play after play. But I think he stuck out. And I said this during the course of the game. You think about it, a few years ago when they drafted Witherspoon, he came right in and he was their slot defender in that nickel spot. And you remember big plays against the Giants on primetime and him with his aggressive to blitz to cover. And then they draft Nick Emanwari. And all of a sudden he becomes their slot defender and Witherspoon is coming in on dime, and you almost forgot how good Witherspoon is in that slot position and what he can do. So I just think his ability to cover when they were threw the ball at him to make plays, but then what he was able to do when they blitzed him, timing those blitzes up, is one thing for Mike McDonald and the defensive coaching staff during the course of the week is a bunch of X's and O's on a paper, and you're trying to get the guys to understand the game plan and how they're going to go execute it when they get out there on the field. To watch Witherspoon take that from the classroom onto the field and timing up those blitzes and hitting them right when they need to, when the lineman slid to him, being able to make a guy miss and get that pressure, like those things aren't easy, and they executed at a high level.
And I don't watch every Seahawks game, but it feels like they kept that in their back pocket. Like, I don't know that I saw them use Spoon like that with those blitzes all year to that extent.
Yeah, and they would mix it in, but to your point, like that was the most they blitzed Witherspoon. He got a chance to get out there and get after them, and that's just from a game plan standpoint of recognizing what the weaknesses are on the Patriots' offensive line, making sure they were blitzing sometimes from the Patriots' right side and leaving Will Campbell and Jarrett Wilson, the two rookies, backside one-on-one, and they were able to win those matchups, knowing that if I blitz from the other side, the Patriots have to send more help there, and you can't help everybody on the offensive line. So those were one-on-one opportunities where DeMarcus Lawrence won or Hall won to be able to create sacks and create turnovers on Drake May. So a ton of credit to that entire defensive staff. But Witherspoon was fun to watch. And the entire secondary, I think early on in the game, Drake May misses on a pass to Hunter Henry, and Kobe Bryant could have potentially intercepted the ball. He wasn't even looking for the football. He went straight and just laid Hunter Henry out. And that, to me, set the tone early on for them in that game. Email Worry taking on the fullback in the backfield, making the tackle. Like that type of aggressiveness and the type of physicality from early on in the game. I think Julian Love said it after. They asked him, when did you start to feel good about this game? He said in the first quarter. The way we went out and we dominated and we hit them, we knew we had the game.
Sam Darnold, I said no matter what happened in this game, through the playoffs, the big win against the Rams, like he's already I said top 10. And he already has changed the narrative. So I don't want to ask you if you learned anything about Sam last night. I feel like that narrative is deaded.
Yeah.
The lesson in Sam Darnold, of course, is don't give up on your quarterback. Also, that time in San Francisco seems very valuable. And I like that that's getting talked about. It was talked about by all the Hall of Famers on my show, Super Bowl week. Where do you have him, though? It's that question this morning. It's that he has a ring now. Is he going into 2026? Is he a top 10 quarterback in a Super Bowl champion's eyes?
I love this because, whenever you have a performance and you do well, everyone has to be elite. You have to be top 5, top 10.
Yeah.
You have to put him somewhere. No doubt about it. And you look at what he's done these last 2 seasons, you have to put him in that top 10 somewhere. Is he 10? Is he 9? Is he wherever it is, he has to be somewhere in that performance. And I would say when you watched Darnold last night, was he perfect? Was he amazing? Was this one of the best games of his career? No. But what Sam Darnold showed last night was he can go out there and have a championship performance. He can do the little things that his team needs to be victorious. The round before it in the NFC Championship game, they need me to throw for 300+ yards and 3 touchdowns. Boom, I can do it. Last night, you guys need me to go no turnovers, which he did throughout the entire postseason. Only the second quarterback in the last 30 years to be a Super Bowl champ and not have a turnover in the playoffs. Just him and Drew Brees. So whatever was asked of him in order to hoist the Lombardi trophy at the end of the season, he was able to do. And that says a lot because a year ago, he wasn't able to do that. And this year, he came through for his team. But there were a lot of moments, whether it was just him avoiding a sack and throwing the ball away, or avoiding a sack and taking off, or making a throw under pressure. It was those little moments, play after play, that he made throughout the course of the night that led to the multiple field goals and longer drives that gave his defense a rest.
You won't tell me if he's in your top 10 or where he is, and I like that. That's fine. I actually hate the ranking stuff. I am curious, like, how he'll be viewed by people like that have the pedigree and like you. Like, will he be looked at similarly to a Jalen Hurts, who also has 1 ring, but isn't somehow looked at as like the dominant Josh Allen, who has it's eluded, or even Lamar, or guys who've won MVPs? Like, will he be looked at like Jalen, which I think is like, it's like the Jalen Hurts part of the world. How will he be looked at? How do you think he'll be looked at?
I think that's a really good comparison. I think when you look at Jalen Hurts, when you look at a Sam Darnold, you're looking at quarterbacks that, depending upon what lens you want to look at it, some people will look at it and say, well, they're a product of their environment and the weapons that they have around it. I look at it as you're a quarterback on a team with other good players that you can go out there and find a way to propel this team to victory, to score more points, to have the ball at the end, to win the football game. I think that when we look at all of this, yes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and all of these guys, MVP seasons and all of those things, and they do things within a game where you're blown out of your mind of what they can do. The Sam Darnolds, the Jalen Hurts, the quarterbacks that you find a way in those moments to win football games, whatever your team may need. For Jalen Hurts, it may be a game where he throws for 150 yards and rushes on 2 tush pushes for a touchdown, and that wins the game for the Eagles. That's okay. For Sam Darnold, it's a game like last night that he doesn't turn the ball over and he makes some good throws that wins the game for them. 19 of 38. That's not an amazing game, but it was enough to win. And I think when you look at these guys in a regular season, they win. They win their division. They do those type of things week in and week out, which are so important.
I'm trying to think, like, what's the lesson in that? Because, like, if as a fan, there are Buffalo fans. It's not about Buffalo, but Buffalo is like, we'd rather have Josh Allen and lose, and like that's insane. So that's like an unhinged, like, emotional opinion. But then you look at it and it's like, what's the winning formula? Jason, what is the lesson in this? Would I rather have a Darnold, a Jalen, a Purdy, a foot, whatever that, or do I want one of these hot, flashy MVP highlight reels that don't make it for two of the top? This is Hamilton. Hamilton, come on here and tell me this. Like, what's the winning formula? This thing about, hi, Amy.
Hey, what's up? So only 2 of the top 14 paid quarterbacks in the league this year won a playoff game.
Hmm.
What's
and
the
obviously,
lesson in this? This is crazy.
yeah.
Top quarterbacks versus the, the guys who can get it done on the biggest day. I don't know. You
What's
tell
up,
me.
Hammer? I think
What's up?
to what you're saying, look at John Schneider. And he's a perfect
Yeah.
example because now he's won 2 Super Bowls 2 different ways. You think about it, when they drafted Russell Wilson, that was when we all started talking about, well, if you get a quarterback on a rookie contract, you can build a team around him and do it
Right.
that way. Now you fast forward, Sam Darnold's a free agent. He didn't pay Sam Darnold the $50+ million that a lot of the market tells you have to pay for a quarterback that now, for a Sam Darnold, Super Bowl champion, winning these 14+ games back-to-back years, and now you're still able to build a team around him. So I think it goes multiple ways, and I think there is no one way to do it. I think you look at it as, if you're fortunate enough to draft a Josh Allen, you're fortunate enough to draft a Patrick Mahomes, a Lamar Jackson, you have to pay these guys when their deal is up. So you have to pay them the $55+ million because you can't let one of those guys walk out your building. But I think the lesson here is that if you do miss on those guys and you're not able to get one of those guys that are the elite of the elites, don't overpay for the next guy just because you need to have one at the position. You can get a guy like Sam Darnold with a play caller like KLINT Kubiak and surround him with a Cooper Kupp, a Jackson Smith-Njigba, a running game like Kenneth Walker, and he has the pedigree to go out there and win football games. And he can have 300+ yards, or he can have 200 yards and a touchdown and win the game for you.
Darnold 17th, by the way, on that list of contracts. So to your point about Schneider and all of that. By the way, Mahomes, guess where he is? 14th.
And now, whenever his next payday is, though, like that's the key to it. Can you stay in front of it for Seattle? When do you revisit getting Darnold to try to keep him under? Because those deals are just going up every single year when a guy frees up.
I mean, but with Mahomes, that's how you help a Chiefs dynasty build, by not, that second bite at the contract or whatever. He got that done in 2022, and we'll see what happens there. Okay, I wanted to ask you, obviously, like the battle, the JSN erasure, like how they were able to do that. How did you see that work?
Yeah, they got a hell of a player in Christian Gonzalez. Like, they weren't out there just double teaming Jackson Smith-Njigba and taking them away in the Bill Belichick days, where they would put, when I was there, myself on the best wide receiver, and Dev would come over the top and we double team him, and Gilmore would sometimes go cover the other guy. Same thing they did with Darrelle Revis. I think at the end of the second quarter was a prime example. The pass breakup he had backside, he is one-on-one with Jackson Smith-Njigba, and the rest of the DBs are all on the other side of the hash, and he's able to make a key play for them. Now, JSN also left the game. They had to be evaluated for a concussion. And that also wasn't Seattle's game plan. Like, they didn't think they were going to come out here, as you're seeing that play by Gonzo right there. Like, that's an unbelievable pass breakup when he is all by himself against the best player on their team. They didn't come in with the thought process of, we're going to attack them down the field and kill them. They were able to run the ball with Kenneth Walker and sustain drives. But I think if you're a New England Patriots fan, you look at that game defensively. Milton Williams was everywhere. He missed a few sacks, but he was all over the field. Craig Woodson, the rookie safety you have, unbelievable, from back end to front end in the run game, all over the football field. And then Christian Gonzalez in the back end made play after play. So that defense, they played their butts off, and they held strong for as long as they possibly could. But Seattle, going into that game, everybody knew they were the better football team, the more complete football team. And if they didn't make a mistake, it was going to be hard for New England to win. They fought, but man, Seattle, that's one hell of a football team.
That the first PBU by Christian reminded me of you in 53. Did you? Yeah, see? didn't it? I was
A
like,
little
okay,
bit.
shades of Jason
He's
McCourty, right?
Hey, he's a little bit of a better player than I was, but love watching him play, man. This is fantastic, like over the top. This is a great read by Sam Darnold to throw that ball one-on-one with their deep threat and Rashid Shaheed. But Gonzo went up there to the top floor and made a play, and that's what the Super Bowl is all about. Can your best players play their best in these moments? That's who's going to win the football game. Kenneth Walker was his absolute best in that game, and that's what helped propel them. That Seattle defense, you can go through it man for man, and they were at their absolute best in that game, and that's why they won. I would have liked to see some of the New England Patriots offensive guys. I'd like to see Diggs get a few more targets at him to see what he could do in a game like that, but it wasn't there for them.
And then I was looking, we were talking about JSN being erased in like in the vacuum of like what that matchup looks like. And then it's like so freaking impressive talking about coaching and maybe the coaching advantage or the preparation, like how much credit, like what did you make of KLINT Kubiak in this moment that like, I mean, JSN's in concussion protocol, JSN's a non-factor, Christian Gonzalez, hell of a player, according to you. Like to get these other guys, like, talk to me a little bit about that. Like how impressive was KLINT Kubiak in this big moment, his last moment as a Seahawk, as a champion?
I think the biggest thing with Kubiak this season was the confidence that he showed within Sam Darnold. Yes, they ran the heck out of the football, but they still threw the ball around. The play action pass to A.J. Barner of how they completely fooled the Patriots defense, because this was a point where it looked like, hey, we're just going to continue to run the ball, and run the clock out. And no, they go play action, hit the ball over the top, and it's an easy touchdown where Barner is wide open. There was a screen pass they threw off the play action where they fooled New England, and they were all going one way. It wasn't easy for Kubiak, but to your point, no matter what happened throughout the course of the game, he always had an answer for his quarterback. And I think that was the big thing throughout the course of their season, where early on they came out and it was a brand new offense with a new play caller. Darnold's there at the helm. They were lining up in big personnel. They were running at people. They were going play action. And people started to catch up, and they had to keep morphing and finding ways to win. But I think what was impressive was towards the end of this season, there was murmuring Darnold's not really able to do anything. For the majority of that Rams game towards the end of the season, Darnold not really able to do anything. Then Shaheed has the punt return. Then they open it up a little bit more. And then you fast forward, obviously the 49ers game in a divisional round, they didn't have to do much because they dominated from special teams on. But then you look at the Rams game and their faith and their trust in Sam Darnold to go out there and win the football game, the aggression. They threw the ball over 30 times last night. Still aggressive with Sam Darnold, letting him know you're our guy and we believe in you. And a lot of that credit goes to Kubiak. And the way he was able to use all of these guys, getting Shaheed in the middle of the season at the trade deadline, finding ways to incorporate him. It was so impressive. And the Raiders, they got to be excited to get him now as their next head coach.
I know Stacey Dales with that news. Loved seeing that for
Saw
her.
that?
NFL Network saw that too. She's such a beast. I love her. We'll take a short break here. I've got to get your, I sent Devin the text yesterday. I'm like, what a freaking star you are. We're in our YouTube break right now. Like, I mean, what was that like watching him? That's really freaking cool.
It was awesome, man. The fact that his daughter, London, she got some airtime too. Little LBZ, what I call her. It's just fantastic. I think for Dev, there was probably some nerves his first Super Bowl opportunity to go out there in the pregame, and he killed it. And I think for both of us, you retire from the game, and there's a little low right there, and you retire and you don't know exactly what the future is going to hold. And for Dev, I mean, the guy was a part of 5 Super Bowls, so there's not a better person that you can have sitting at a desk on Super Bowl Sunday and talking about what those experiences are like. He's won those Super Bowl games. I've been with him when he's fallen short and he's lost that game, and what that feeling feels like, what the preparation leading up to the game is all about. So it was just really cool as a family member to watch him. One, he gets towered over by Maria every time they go on Sunday Night Football, but he still holds his own. They give him his little box to stand on.
Maria was on the air for like 9 hours yesterday. I was like,
but 8 different outfits too. 8 different outfits. She killed it.
And to be in that beautiful moment with the confetti and the Lombardi and a high school, like she saw it's her friend from high school. Like that's so wild.
The script doesn't get better.
It does not get better. I loved it for NBC, and now they're all, of course, doing their thing with the Olympics. So happy with that. I'm taking a couple questions from our Twitter feed, weirdly. As someone who's been both a player and now an analyst, and like just people who are tuning in now, like Jason woke up this morning and watched it again. Like sick puppy. Watched it already. What's the biggest difference in how you view games now compared to when you were on the field?
More of a holistic look at the game. When I was playing, I didn't care nothing about what our offense was going to do. Like when we were getting ready to play in Super Bowl 53, it was all about who I was matched up with from a wide receiver standpoint and how we were going to stop Jared Goff. So I'm not looking at the game through the lens of the timeouts needed and all of the strategy and all of those things that go into the game. Compared to now as an analyst, especially when I'm calling a game, you're thinking it through from special teams all the way through. All right, for New England, you're a team that's maybe a little undermatched in this game. How do you get an advantage? Can you get Marcus Jones to spring one on a punt return? Can you block a punt? What can you do to try to flip the game to gain a little bit of an advantage? Can you get home and get pressure on Sam Darnold? On the flip side for Seattle, just don't make a mistake. Go out there and execute, play your brand of football, and you're going to win this game. So I think as an analyst, you take off your bias for any team and you're just looking at the game and what do your eyes tell you from the experiences that you've had. For me, throughout the 13 years I played of playing in the league and sitting in all those meetings day by day.
Murph on Twitter wants to know why wasn't Witherspoon the MVP? He's a defensive MVP in Jason's eyes. We went over that. Kenneth Walker definitely deserved it for that performance. And Craig Muller, this is a tough one. How do you fix the O-line? Poor Drake. Are we moving Will Campbell somewhere on that line? What are we doing?
So my thing is like take a deep breath. Like there was an entire season. You don't make it all off of just the playoffs. Will Campbell got hurt in the middle of this season. Remember, he was out for a while. He came back. When he came back, it wasn't pretty. But also remember, Will Campbell and Jarrett Wilson are both rookies. Like these guys, their entire rookie year to play as long as they did throughout the course to make it all the way to the Super Bowl, it was a lot to ask of those guys. So is there a chance that Will Campbell moves? Maybe. Jarrett Wilson throughout the preseason, he was a center, a guard. He has that versatility. Could he move to center depending upon with Bradbury, what happens? Man, there's a lot of different things that can happen up front for them on the offensive.
Should he move to guard? Should he move to guard?
Potentially, yes. And a lot of your offensive line depends upon who do you have. Like, do you have a better tackle? Because you got to remember for New England, what their offensive line was last year was atrocious. So what they were this year was leaps and bounds better than what they were a year ago. So yes, you can move Will Campbell to guard, and maybe he should. But in order to move him to guard, you have to have a tackle that is better than him at protecting the quarterback's blind side. So you can say what you want about Will Campbell and how bad of a performance he had in the Super Bowl and throughout the course of the playoffs. But if you don't have anyone better than him, you have to play him at left tackle.
And take a breath, everybody. And he, coming off IR, never really had, he needs an off season. I don't think, I like that you said that. I feel like he had not looked the same or to his potential, and maybe some rest, that the rest will help that, right? Hopefully.
No doubt about it.
Because he was playing much better before that. So calm down. Jason knows the Patriot fan. Everyone needs to relax. We want to celebrate a little bit more. It's such a treat to have you answering questions. I mean, Twitter's loving this. Cooper Kupp, leading receiver in the game. At one point, I was in a suite. His family was in a suite. It was, like if Seahawks fans didn't have it easy yesterday. Like there was, we were one trick play. We were one Josh McDaniels, get in your bag and do something from them losing this potentially for most of the game. Mike McDonald said last night that it cemented his Hall of Fame case that this did. How locked into Canton is Cooper Kupp?
Wow, I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah,
you think about it, Triple Crown, Super Bowl MVP, two-time Super Bowl champ, like absolutely. Like, and what I love about Cooper Kupp is I got a chance. I'm a huge Cooper Kupp fan. I can remember it was a few years ago. It was my last year in 2021, and I'm a safety in the meeting room in Miami. And our DB coach, Gerald Alexander at the time, he plays a clip of Cooper Kupp, and Cooper Kupp is breaking down a fire zone defense of what his responsibility is, how the safety's going to roll down, how this player is controlled by the running back. And I was sitting there and I was like, this knows the defense better than half the guys in our DB room. And from that standpoint, I was like, I am a huge fan of this guy. And in production meetings, I got a chance to talk to him. And we just talked about philosophy of football, tight splits, bunches, and how he sees the game. This guy, he meets with the quarterback.
You're
Like
sick.
he meets, I am. He meets with the quarterbacks in the morning to understand exactly what their reads are, what they're seeing, so that he understands the offense. So I think when you talk about him in Canton, absolutely, he's earned that with his performances in the big moments, obviously in his time with the Rams, and how he's come over and what he's done for Seattle, not only on the field with his production, but also off the field in the meeting rooms, and how he spread that knowledge on to guys there. What he's done for Jackson Smith-Njigba this year, Offensive Player of the Year, and how well he's performed. Like, this dude is unbelievable, and I'm so happy for him because he talked about how hard it was for him to leave the Rams and debating whether he wanted to keep playing and how tough it was for his family of everything he poured into that city. Not only did he leave and go to Seattle, he beat the Rams in the NFC Championship and is able to hoist a Lombardi and have a good game as he did in the Super Bowl. Like, that's an unbelievable effort, and just happy for him and his family. He's earned it.
So Hall of Famer?
Yeah, I believe so. I would say yes to
Yeah,
that.
I would say yes too. It's very, very cool. Very, very cool for him, his entire family's legacy. And what a sick pup like you, which I love that you love so much. I'm a sick pup in the way of I'm like, I woke up this, I think you heard a little of this with me and Hamilton in the break. I was like, what do I do with the Patriots going into next year? What are they contenders? What kind of move? And I'm looking at, like, of course, like the sick pups over at FanDuel, all the sports books, of course, have the odds already. So let's take a look at maybe just the Super Bowl odds. So they have, does Seattle belong at the top, in your opinion, in any other way than they just won the Super Bowl? Going into next year, obviously no moves have been made. We've got big pieces potentially with trade, free agency, the draft, of course. And then the Chiefs aren't even on here. They're way down the line.
Yeah.
Is this how you see this? And where do those Patriots belong?
I like this. I think Seattle and the Rams were the best teams throughout the season, and we continue to say that. The NFC Championship game, I think, proved that, watching those two teams out there on the field. Obviously, you look at Baltimore and Buffalo, both teams have brand new head coaches. You don't know exactly what that's going to look like. Obviously, both those teams have a ton of talent. When it comes to New England, the challenge is going to be is they had an easy schedule this year. And I wasn't one of those people that held that against them this year. I don't care what your schedule is. You have to go out there and you have to win a game every single week. And they did that. They won a ton of games, lost to the Raiders, lost to the Steelers on games. They could have won those games as well. So you have to take advantage of whatever's in front of you. But you can't ignore the fact that the road's going to be tougher next year, and there's no guarantee that you're going to get back there. So I think, to your point, what are the moves that they make that they feel this team needs to improve on? There's going to be guys that are free agents that they're going to have to make decisions on for their future. But for your second year quarterback to make the jump that he made, to be an MVP candidate, now you go out there and you have the performance that they had at the biggest stage. How do you respond to that? How are you going to be in OTAs? How hungry are you going to be? Are you going to make excuses for it? Or are you going to get back to? So I think that's the key thing. I heard you mention Joe Burrow. People talked about Dan Marino. He made it to the Super Bowl. He never made it back. So you can't take for granted that you're just going to get there and we're ahead of schedule. I hate when people say we're ahead of schedule. Like, there is no schedule to get to the Super Bowl. There's no guarantee that because you build a team, you're going to get there. When you get there, you have to take advantage of it. And they didn't last night.
Yeah, I mean, and Joe is a better quarterback than Drake, straight up. That's not like a dramatic thing to say. So they've
Yeah.
got to figure it out. Short break here, Jason. You're amazing. Thank you for being here with us. You take a little bit of a break, get some water. We're gonna have a couple more questions from Twitter. I want to get into Drake May with the Super Bowl champion, Jason McCourty, after this. Thanks, Jace. What a star! What a stud. Ham, liking. If you want to look at some of these questions, I definitely think we should get into a little Drake May, just like maybe how much is on him,
Definitely.
Jason,
Mhm.
but also like how this will affect him.
Yeah.
I imagine not. I don't know. I mean, I can't. It's like a hard. I guess I don't even know if there's any value in that
Yeah.
question.
I mean, I think we saw for a long time quarterbacks that lost Super Bowl didn't go back. Like, that was also part of
Yeah.
Jalen's lore from last year, bouncing back and getting back and winning one. We hadn't seen that happen. So Jalen showed there is a path. It can be done.
You
But
putting
I
this
also
at
do.
this looking healthy thing?
What's that?
What's this looking healthy thing in the chat you just put?
Oh, with Drake, because I did think, again, not making excuses. You're out there, you have to find ways, but I don't think he physically looked the same throwing the football last night as he did most of the year. And
Jason already said it
we
doesn't
heard.
matter. Got the shot, no big deal.
I
Like,
know, yeah.
You think yeah.
Yeah. No, again, you're out there, you got to
Okay.
find a way, but it was something that stuck out to me.
Yeah, if anybody
And I
has
do
any.
want to say,
Go ahead.
um, the Seahawks weren't the only ones bringing the boom at
Oh
the
my
Super
God.
Bowl yesterday. Can you tell me what was going on with
Nothing. I was
that?
walking. What are we upset about that I did? I did something wrong.
No, no, not upset about any. I was just upset we didn't get to talk about it
Did they post
last
something
break.
about it? No, this is just mine, right? Nobody else posted anything,
Yeah,
right? Okay.
nah.
Walking into the, like, just like with all the fans, people, I was a normal person yesterday walking into the Super Bowl, lucky and grateful. And okay, we don't have to keep playing it. Can we just, you guys are such assholes. So I'm walking into the stadium and I see them like they're doing like a bit or something. And I wanted to
Mm,
say hi because I've met them and
mm.
and Hamilton's a huge fan. So I wanted to say hi. And then they gave me a football and they said, "Would you buy this football for me for $200?" And of course, like I don't understand, I don't know the bit, so I'm like, and I was very awkward. I'm not the person. I'm not the one. You shouldn't like. Nobody told me to be in their bits. I'm like, I overthink everything. And then I eventually said yes, and they said, "Okay, here's there." And I look in the football. There's like $1,000. Like it was so. I don't understand. Like there was literally $1,000, and then I started just giving people money as we walked into the Super Bowl, like
Like
stacks
the
of money.
Family Guy Super Bowl episode, just throwing money. Yeah.
I'm not joking. Everybody, I was giving. I'm sure there's footage of it that won't get posted, but I was just giving away money, and then they were giving away thousands of dollars.
What?
Did you think I got paid to do that? Is that what you're trying to say? No, it really happened there. Really like a blessing Super Bowl fans. Welcome back to the show. We've got Jason McCourty on the program. A lot of questions for you, but I do want to ask about Drake May. I think straight up for Patriot fans, how much of this was on Drake? We've talked about the Josh no trick play. We talked about the Vrabel part. Drake May, as far as how much was on him getting hit so much with the pressure. What's on Drake here?
Yeah. There were throws that I felt like in the course of that game where he missed, and I was probably about 5 throws. But overall, when you watch that game, a lot of that to me fell on the coaches and game plan oriented because they couldn't do anything. They couldn't run the football. Drake May didn't have much time when he was back there dropping back. There weren't guys open. So you look at the course of that game, and I think even bigger than that, they just didn't look like they tried a bunch of things. And I think that's what was when you look at the coaching versus playing, it's just like when you're out there, and I've been in games defensively where you feel like you just can't stop the offense. And I could feel from my play caller while I was out there on the field because it was like we were one zone, we were one man, we would blitz everybody, we would drop everybody, and we'd get to the sideline. I'm like, damn, coach is calling everything. Like we got to do something about it. And it felt like last night as you watched the game, like they didn't call everything. Now I'm assuming there's reasons for that. It's easy for me to watch the game and say, oh, well, why didn't you run a screen? Why didn't you run a trick play? Why didn't you spread them out? Why didn't you do more 6 offensive linemen? Like, yeah, from my lens, I'm not, and due to studying that McDaniels and the offensive staff did, but watching it, it felt like Drake May needed a lot more help from the sidelines than what he got in that game. But I don't want to dismiss the fact that Drake he missed quite a bit of throws in that game. And even when he had time, he looked like he was rushed. Then there were moments where there were lanes that he could have took off and used his legs more. He didn't do that. But when you come out and you get punched in the mouth the way they did, you get flustered. And that's what the game looked like throughout majority of it. When you don't score a point through 3 quarters, I mean, there's enough blame to go around for every coach and player that's on the offensive side of the ball.
How do you think this will affect him?
From everything that you read and the times that I've been around Drake May, I gotta believe that he has shown us that he has made of all of the right things that you need to bounce back off of a performance like this. I think nothing more important than being the youngest of 4 brothers, that all of them are athletes. Dad was an athlete, mom, like their entire family. I feel like when you've done this a lot, like you're used to adversity happening and having to overcome it. Yes, is this the biggest stage you've ever played on and you've fallen short? Absolutely. But I feel like Drake May has the ingredients, the makeup, the intangibles to be able to bounce back. I believe he'll be the guy throughout the course of this offseason, calling up the receiver saying, hey, meet me here. We're going to go work and we're going to get these things done. He's going to be the guy calling Josh McDaniels this week or next week to figure out exactly what went wrong, to try to make the corrections to get better a year from now. So if you're a Pats fan, you gotta believe that Drake May, you drafted the right guy from what he's shown you so far, that he's gonna bounce back and he's gonna continue his ascension to be one of the best quarterbacks in this league of what he showed us this past season.
What do you think Tom Brady was thinking watching this game?
That's a loaded question. I think Tom was thinking, I don't have a dog in the fight, so I'm just watching this. I'm just smiling. I'm just having a good time. I don't know. I gotta believe for Tom, like the relationship he has with the Kraft family, like you hurt a little bit for those guys. You want to see them victorious. On the other side, Tom's a owner of another franchise. So the other side of him got to be like, an AFC opponent just lost the Super Bowl. I don't care. Like, I'm trying to build this thing up, and I'm watching my future head coach, Kubiak, out there calling the game.
That's more of what I was asking. Like, he kind of won last night because everyone, Josh McDaniels, the offensive, you know, like, I don't know, there's no challenge. I don't know. There's something about that. And then there's the fact that he's getting the offensive genius as his guy. He's kind of winning.
Yes, and he did it. You think about it, what Darnold was able to do throughout the course of this entire season, and that wasn't a great performance. But you also got to remember, the Patriots are a top 5 defense as well. So Kubiak being able to game plan guys wide open, like those are the things that if you're Brady, you're looking at, you're like, see, that's what we want. That's what we need for Mendoza. We need a guy that's going to come in here and design things for Brock Bowers to be wide open. Design a run game for Ashton Genty not to get hit the most of any running back in the NFL behind the line of scrimmage. That's what we need. I can sell Las Vegas fans that Kubiak is going to be the guy to get us to the promised land.
Yeah, no competition to his legacy there in New England. Jason McCourty, you're a legend. I appreciate you so much, really, for you to spend the entire hour with me breaking down this game, guys. Follow Mr. Jason McCourty, of course, on socials.
I need some of those ones you were flashing on your way into the stadium.
Listen, I gave them all away. I was like, what am I supposed? Can you imagine $1,000 in ones me bringing it to the stadium? Can you imagine? I didn't even have a purse. I just gave it all away.
When I first saw it, I was like, where did Kay get all these ones from? What was she doing the night before the Super Bowl?
No, I only go to strip clubs in Green Bay called Oval Office, Jason. Everyone knows this. Okay, you're the best. We'll be back tomorrow. Thank you so much. Enjoy, and we're great, but London's the star. London is the star for the McCourty family. That's what I have to say. We'll be back after this excellent work. Really thank you.